Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring the fascinating world of AI, specifically through the eyes of one of its pioneers, Yann LeCun.
Oh yeah, LeCun, he's a legend.
Absolutely, and we're diving into an article based on his own words,
Yeah.
like straight from the source, to understand his take on where AI is now, where he thinks it's headed. And get this, one of the things that really caught my eye was this idea, even a cat might be more advanced than our most sophisticated AI systems.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is. So let's unpack that a little, shall we?
Let's do it.
Now, LeCun isn't one to shy away from, a little bit of critique, even when it comes to the field he helped build. He's been pretty vocal about what he sees as the flaws in some of the, I guess you could say, trendier approaches to AI, like large language models, these LLMs everyone keeps talking about.
Yeah, those are the ones making all the headlines, right?
Exactly. They're these powerful text-based AI systems that can generate human-quality text, translate languages, even write code. It's pretty wild.
It is impressive stuff.
For sure. But LeCun argues that all the hype around LLMs might be blinding us to their limitations. Just because they can write like Shakespeare doesn't mean they're truly intelligent.
So it's like they have the form down, but not the substance.
That's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually compares them to hammers looking for nails. Powerful tools, yes, but pretty limited in their approach. They don't really understand the world in the way we do. They're stuck in the realm of text and symbols.
So they can churn out a sonnet, but they don't actually grasp the beauty or the meaning behind it.
Right, and that's where the cat analogy comes in. Think about a cat effortlessly leaping onto a narrow ledge. That cat has this instinctive grasp of physics, of its own body, and the environment around it.
It's like they just get it without needing to overthink it.
Exactly. Current AI systems, they really struggle with that kind of real-world understanding. They can't grasp the physics of that jump, the planning needed to land safely.
So if AI isn't as smart as we think it is, what's the missing piece here? What does that cat have that a supercomputer doesn't?
Well, LeCun points to a fundamental difference between biological intelligence, like in that cat, and the artificial intelligence we're building. That cat, it understands physics almost instinctively. AI, on the other hand, it's missing something crucial. It struggles with things like sensory perception, with real-time planning, and most importantly, with building a mental model of the world.
A mental model. That's interesting. It's like the way we humans build up an understanding of how the world works based on our experiences.
Yeah, it's like this internal map of reality that helps us make sense of things.
And that's what LeCun thinks is holding AI back.
Exactly. And he's actually proposed this new architecture called JePA, which stands for, get ready for this, Joint Embedding Predictive Architecture.
Whoa, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? But the idea is to help AI build those missing mental models.
Okay, so break that down for me. How would JePA help AI understand the world like that cat on the ledge?
Okay, so picture this. AI starts building this sort of mental map of the world, right?
Yeah,
It starts
okay.
connecting different concepts and ideas together. That's what JePA is all about. It's like helping AI connect the dots. And with this, it gains the ability to predict outcomes, to reduce randomness, to understand context. It's starting to think more like we do.
So instead of just reacting to data, it's anticipating what will happen next.
Yes. And LeCun sees this as a fundamental shift in how we approach AI. It's about moving beyond simple pattern recognition and towards a deeper understanding of cause and effect, the why behind the what.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm starting to see why he's so excited about this idea.
Me too. And we hear all the time about AI doing amazing things in science, like predicting protein structures, but where does LeCun stand on all that?
Right, AI seems to be making some serious breakthroughs in scientific fields.
For sure, but LeCun, while he acknowledges those successes, he also emphasizes that we're just scratching the surface. Like, yeah, AI can crunch data and find patterns, but can it have those aha moments, those intuitive leaps that lead to truly groundbreaking discoveries?
Like those moments where a scientist suddenly connects the dots in a completely new way. Can AI do that?
Exactly. Like the story about Archimedes figuring out buoyancy while taking a bath. That's the kind of intuitive leap LeCun is talking about.
That's a high bar for AI to clear.
It is. And he believes a key piece that's missing is something called embodiment.
Embodiment. I haven't heard that one before.
So most AI systems, they exist in the digital world, right? They don't have bodies. They don't experience the world through senses like we do. It's about the feeling you get in the pit of your stomach when you're on a roller coaster.
Oh, I know that feeling. It's like this visceral, almost instinctive reaction.
Right. And that's something AI can't replicate yet. It's missing that physical connection to the world, those gut feelings that shape our understanding.
So it's like AI is missing a whole dimension of experience.
Exactly. And LeCun, he argues that this lack of embodiment is a major obstacle to developing truly intelligent machines.
Hmm.
Our physical experiences, they shape our intuition, our understanding in a way that current AI just can't grasp.
Okay, so I'm starting to get the picture here. LeCun sees large language models as limited, embodiment as crucial. So where does he see AI research heading? What's his vision for the future?
Well, he believes we need to kind of shift gears, move beyond these powerful but limited text-based AI systems, and explore new architectures that can actually represent the physical world. Architectures that exhibit common sense reasoning, that can plan and solve problems, and, this is key, architectures that can find the right level of abstraction.
Finding the right level of abstraction, that sounds pretty abstract. What does that even mean when we're talking about AI?
It's about focusing on the essential elements while ignoring the irrelevant details. Like, think about predicting Jupiter's trajectory. We can do that with amazing accuracy using just 6 variables, its position and velocity, even though there are mountains of data about the planet.
So it's about cutting through the noise to find the signal, right?
Exactly. And LeCun thinks that's fundamental for building AI that can truly understand and reason about the world. He's calling for a shift in focus, a move away from the hype, and towards more diverse research that tackled bigger, more complex problems, problems that can benefit humanity.
Like in fields like physics or education.
Exactly. But let's bring this back down to earth for a second.
Yeah.
Why should our listeners care about all this? What's the takeaway for them?
Well, for one, there's a ton of money and resources pouring into AI development. Companies like Meta, where LeCun works, and NVIDIA, they're investing billions. But LeCun warns that if we keep overemphasizing these current approaches, especially these powerful but limited text-based AIs, we might actually be hindering real innovation.
So we could be missing out on breakthroughs if we don't broaden our horizons a bit.
Exactly. He's pushing for a broader, more diverse approach to research, one that tackles complex problems from fresh perspectives. And that has implications for all of us, whether we're in tech or not.
Absolutely. This has been a really fascinating dive into LeCun's ideas so far, but before we move on, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. LeCun's reflections on AI's potential to model human thought, it raises a mind-blowing possibility. If AI could truly understand and replicate the processes of our own minds, could it eventually, maybe even surpass us? There's no easy answer to that, but it's something to think about as we venture further into the age of intelligent machines.
It definitely makes you wonder, what does the future hold for us and the AI we create? It really does. It's a question that's been around for ages, right? Can machines think? Can they become conscious? All that. But as these AI systems keep getting more and more advanced, it doesn't feel so much like science fiction anymore. I mean, look at how AI is already outperforming humans in certain areas like playing chess or Go.
Right, but those are games, right? They have clear rules, a defined goal.
Yeah.
Replicating the kind of general intelligence that we humans use to navigate this crazy, unpredictable world, this seems like a whole different ballgame.
You're absolutely right. It's not just about raw power or speed. To get to that level of intelligence, AI would need something more, something akin to, I don't know, consciousness, or at least a really convincing simulation of it.
So it's not just about processing information, it's about having an awareness of oneself, like
Yeah.
I am a thing in the world, and then understanding how you fit into that world.
Exactly. AI would need to, grasp its own existence, have a sense of self, and then be able to learn and adapt in ways that go beyond just data crunching.
Which leads to the big question, is it even possible? Can we actually create AI that rivals or even surpasses human intelligence? Are we chasing a fantasy here?
That's a question that sparks some serious debate, let me tell you. You have some experts who say it's just a matter of time. With enough data and processing power, we'll inevitably create AI that leaves us in the dust. But then others, they're more cautious. They say there might be fundamental differences between the way our brains work and the way AI works, differences we just can't bridge.
And then you have those who are worried about the risks of creating something that powerful, right? What if we lose control? What if it turns against us? Maybe we should be focusing on AI that helps us, that complements our abilities, not tries to replace us.
It's a complicated issue for sure, with a lot of different perspectives and no easy answers. But it's a conversation we need to be having right now, especially with AI advancing so rapidly. We have to think critically about the implications, both good and bad, and figure out how to steer this technology in the right direction.
Absolutely. The future of AI, it's really in our hands. It's our responsibility to shape it for the better. Now, one of the things that struck me in LeCun's article was his focus on common sense reasoning. Why is that so important for the future of AI? It seems kind of basic, like something we just do without thinking.
It is something we take for granted, but it's incredibly difficult to teach machines. Common sense, it's about understanding the unspoken rules of the world, those things we just intuitively know without needing instructions.
Like knowing if you drop a glass, it's probably going to shatter. Or if you leave an ice cream cone in the sun, it's going to melt. We don't need someone to tell us these things. We just know them from experience.
Exactly, and that's where AI keeps hitting a wall. It can learn from massive data sets, but it lacks that real-world experience that shapes our common sense understanding.
So even though AI can analyze data, find patterns, it struggles with the kind of intuitive reasoning that comes naturally to us.
That's right, and that's why common sense reasoning is like this holy grail in AI research. If we can crack that code, if we can create AI that understands the world more intuitively, well, that would be a game changer.
It would revolutionize how we interact with technology. But how do we even teach a machine common sense? Is it even possible?
It's a tough nut to crack, but there are some really interesting approaches out there. One idea is to create these virtual environments, like simulated worlds, where AI can learn through trial and error, kind of like how kids learn. They can experiment, make mistakes, and learn from those mistakes, all without any real-world consequences.
So like a virtual playground for AI to develop its common sense through exploration and play.
Exactly. Another approach is to directly program common sense knowledge into the AI. It's like building these giant databases of facts and rules that the AI can draw on, kind of like giving it a massive common sense encyclopedia.
It sounds like there's no one-size-fits-all solution here. Cracking the code of common sense AI will probably involve a whole bunch of different strategies and a lot of out-of-the-box thinking.
I think you're right. It's a complex puzzle, and it's going to take a lot of creativity to solve it. But it's not just about building smarter AI. It's also about making sure that AI is, aligned with human values.
Right. As AI becomes more powerful, more autonomous, we need to ensure it's being used for good, that it's operating in a way that benefits humanity. It's not just about the technical stuff, but the ethical implications too.
Absolutely. We need to think carefully about how to design AI systems that are fair, that are transparent, and that are accountable. We need to make sure AI is being used responsibly and ethically. That's crucial.
Well said. Another key theme that comes up a lot in LeCun's work is this idea that AI needs to be able to plan, to reason about the future. Why is that so important, and how does it tie into his vision for the future of AI?
Planning and reasoning about the future, it's one of the hallmarks of intelligence, right? It's what allows us to set goals, anticipate consequences, and make decisions that lead to the outcomes we want. It's about shaping the future, not just reacting to the present.
And that's something that current AI systems struggle with.
Big time. While they're great at processing information and making predictions based on past data, they're not so good at generating new plans or reasoning about hypothetical situations. They haven't quite mastered that whole strategic, proactive thinking thing.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Imagine teaching an AI to play chess. A traditional AI might learn by analyzing millions of past games, looking for patterns that lead to victory. But that approach only gets you so far. If the AI encounters a new situation, something it hasn't seen before, it'll be lost.
So it's like memorizing moves without actually understanding the strategy behind them.
You got it. Now imagine an AI that can actually reason about the game, think several moves ahead, anticipate its opponent's responses, and develop a plan of attack. That's a whole other level of intelligence.
And that's the kind of AI LeCun is envisioning. AI that can plan and reason about the future with a level of sophistication that rivals our own.
Exactly. And he believes that kind of AI is crucial for tackling some of the biggest challenges we face, like climate change or disease prevention. These are problems that require long-term thinking and strategic planning, not just reactive solutions.
Which brings us to a question that often comes up when we talk about advanced AI. What about the risks? What are the potential dangers of creating AI that's as intelligent as humans, or even more intelligent?
It's a valid concern, and it's one that deserves serious consideration. As AI systems become more sophisticated, we absolutely need to be thinking about potential risks and how to mitigate them.
Are we talking about those sci-fi scenarios where robots take over the world?
It's important to separate science fiction from reality. The kind of super intelligent AI we see in movies is still, well, it's still fiction. But that doesn't mean there aren't real risks. We're already seeing issues with things like bias in algorithms, the spread of misinformation, and the potential for AI to automate jobs and displace workers.
And those risks could become even more significant as AI advances.
Exactly. That's why responsible AI development is so crucial. We need to build safeguards into these systems to prevent unintended consequences and make sure they're being used ethically for the benefit of humanity.
So it's not just about making AI smarter, but also about making it safer.
Right on. It's about prioritizing both the advancement of AI and its ethical development. Those two have to go hand in hand. Now, I want to touch on another key aspect of LeCun's vision, which is this idea that AI needs to be able to accurately represent the physical world. This ties back to his thoughts on embodiment and sensory experience.
Okay, why is this accurate representation of the physical world so important?
Because for AI to really understand how things work, to make accurate predictions about what's going to happen next, and to interact with the world effectively, it needs to have a good model of how that world operates. It's about capturing the underlying physics, the relationships between objects, the cause and effect chains that drive events.
So it's not just about having data about the world, it's about having a deep understanding of how that data fits together, the underlying principles.
Precisely. And that's where LeCun's ideas about embodiment and sensory experience come in. He thinks AI needs to experience the world through senses, much like we do, to really get it. Our physical interactions with the world shape our understanding in a way that just crunching numbers can't replicate.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Imagine trying to teach an AI to recognize a cat. You could show it thousands of pictures of cats, and it might learn to identify certain features, like the pointy ears or a furry tail. But would it really understand what a cat is?
Probably not. It's just recognizing patterns, not grasping the essence of catness.
Right. Now imagine an AI that could interact with a cat, feel its flake, hear it purr, see how it moves. That AI would develop a much richer, more nuanced understanding.
So LeCun is saying AI needs to get out of the digital world and into the real world to truly learn and grow.
In a way, yes. He believes that embodiment is key to developing AI that can genuinely understand and reason about the world we live in.
That's a pretty big departure from how a lot of AI is developed today, mostly in these virtual simulated environments. But how do we bring AI into the real world safely and responsibly? And what does this mean for people who are worried about AI taking over jobs?
Those are excellent questions, and there are no easy answers. This transition to a world with more embodied AI is going to require careful planning, ethical considerations, and open discussions about the potential impact on society. It's a big deal.
It sounds like we're walking a tightrope here. We need to push the boundaries of AI innovation while also ensuring that it benefits humanity, not harms it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Finding that balance is key. Now, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about another interesting aspect of LeCun's perspective, which is his critique of the current emphasis on large language models, or LLMs, those powerful text-based AIs we talked about earlier.
Right. You mentioned that LeCun compares them to hammers looking for nails.
Right.
What are his main criticisms of this approach?
Well, he doesn't think LLMs are a path to genuine intelligence. He believes that while they're impressive at manipulating language, they're missing that deep understanding of the world. They don't have the same level of common sense reasoning or the ability to plan and think about the future the way we do.
So they can write poems and code, but they can't figure out how to make a cup of coffee or navigate a crowded street without bumping into things.
Exactly. And that's why LeCun thinks we need to move beyond LLMs and focus on developing AI architectures that can support these higher-level cognitive functions. He's basically saying, this path we're on, it's a dead end.
But LLMs are so hot right now. They're being used in all sorts of applications, from chatbots to search engines to creative tools. Why is LeCun so skeptical of their potential?
He's worried that all the hype around LLMs is distracting us from exploring other, more promising avenues of AI research. He thinks we're pouring too much time and energy into a technology that has some pretty fundamental limitations. It's like he's sounding the alarm, urging us to rethink our approach to AI development.
So he's calling for a more balanced and diverse approach, one that explores a wider range of AI architectures and techniques.
That's it. LeCun is all about exploring different approaches, and he's particularly interested in developing AI that can learn and reason about the world in a way that's more in line with how we humans do it. He believes that's the key to unlocking the true potential of AI and tackling some of the world's biggest challenges.
LeCun's perspective is definitely food for thought. Before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to pose a question to our listeners. If LeCun is right, and we need to move beyond LLMs, What are the most promising alternative approaches out there? What kind of AI architectures and techniques should we be investing in? It's a question worth pondering as we continue to explore this rapidly evolving field.
Yeah, it's like we're standing at this fork in the road, and LLMs are just one path, and there are all these other paths we could be exploring, right?
Exactly. And it sounds like LeCun is pointing us towards a path that focuses on AI that can learn and reason about the world more like we do, more intuitively. Right. And a big part of that seems to be these world models he talks about, these internal representations that AI could build up to understand how things work. Not just data, but like a deeper understanding based on experience and common sense.
Exactly. Those world models would allow AI to make predictions, plan actions, and interact with the environment in a much more sophisticated way than current systems can.
It's like giving AI the ability to, I don't know, imagine different scenarios, play out different possibilities in its head before actually doing anything in the real world.
That's a great way to think about it. That kind of foresight and planning would be a huge step towards developing AI that's not just intelligent, but also safe and reliable.
Now, another thing that really stood out to me in LeCun's work is this emphasis on finding the right level of abstraction. What does he mean by that, and why is it so important for AI to get that right?
Abstraction, it's like one of the superpowers of human intelligence. It's that ability to focus on the important stuff, the core elements of a problem, and filter out all the irrelevant details. We do this all the time to simplify things, to make decisions without getting overwhelmed.
Can you give us a concrete example of how abstraction works in our everyday lives?
Sure, think about driving a car. You're not constantly processing every little detail you see, right? You focus on the things that matter, like the cars around you, the traffic lights, the road signs.
You're filtering out the noise to focus on the signal.
Precisely. And that's what LeCun thinks AI needs to be able to do. He argues that we need to design AI systems that can identify those essential elements, abstract away from the unimportant stuff, and operate at the right level of granularity.
So it's about teaching AI to simplify, to zoom out and see the big picture instead of getting bogged down in all the minutia.
You got it. It's all about finding the right balance between detail and simplicity, which is trickier than it sounds.
Okay, but why should our listeners care about this whole abstraction thing? How does it affect them?
It has huge implications for how we design AI, the kinds of problems we can solve with it, and even the ethical considerations around its development. If we want to build AI that's truly beneficial and doesn't create more problems than it solves, getting this abstraction thing right is crucial.
So it's not just about building smart AI, it's about building AI that's aligned with human values, AI we can trust to make good decisions.
That's it. That's the heart of it. It's about making sure AI serves humanity in a positive way.
You know, as we wrap up this deep dive into Yann LeCun's ideas, I keep coming back to this fundamental question. What does it actually mean to be intelligent?
Oh, that's a deep one.
Yeah.
It's a question that's fascinated thinkers for like centuries, right? And it's even more relevant now that we're building machines that can do things we once thought only humans could do.
LeCun's work really makes you think outside the box when it comes to defining intelligence. It's not just about IQ or passing some test. It's about this whole web of cognitive abilities that make us human.
Exactly. It's about perception, it's about common sense, it's about planning and reasoning, it's even about creativity.
And as we keep pushing the limits of AI, I think it's important to remember that. It's not just about replicating human intelligence. It's about understanding it, and maybe even augmenting it, or surpassing it one day.
Who knows what the future holds? It's both exciting and a little bit daunting at the same time, right?
Definitely. Well, on that note of cosmic pondering, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the mind of Yann LeCun. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration of his groundbreaking ideas. We'll be back soon with another fascinating deep dive into the world of AI. Until then, stay curious and keep those brains buzzing.